Hey guys, so today's video is about Jeffree Star Cosmetics, as you can probably see from the title, but you're probably wondering, based on this channel being a beauty channel, why is my makeup already done? And it's because I just completely forgot that I was filming this today. Well, I forgot that I have something to do tomorrow and I can't film the video tomorrow, so I have to film it today. And therefore my makeup is already done because I was filming other things. I actually forgot to do this in my last video, but I was supposed to link everything that I use. I'm gonna go back to that video and fix it. But because I'm not actually doing my makeup on camera today, I will still just link everything that I've used if it's of interest to you guys. But yeah, so today was talking about Jeffree Star Cosmetics without doing my makeup. And I'm gonna try and make this quick because I have so many notes. I didn't realize just how in-depth the history of Jeffree Star Cosmetics is. I just thought it was like, oh well, the brand is the brand and it just does what it does, and that made no sense. But you know what I mean, like I just didn't think there was that much to it. But because of Jeffree Star's character being so polarizing, the makeup brand is just as polarizing. Now, I'm gonna put a disclaimer here. I'm actually not going to be focusing on Jeffree Star. I am mainly focusing on Jeffree Star Cosmetics. Just like with my Kylie Cosmetics video, I focused on Kylie Cosmetics mainly and spoke about Kylie Jenner only when it was really appropriate for the story. So I know that there is a lot about Jeffree Star, you know, a lot. But in this video, I'm only going to speak about Jeffree Star when it is necessary for the context, and I'll essentially just summarize what needs to be said. Now, the part 2 essentially of this video, it's not like an official series, but I will do a video directly after this video, which will be just purely about Jeffree Star and not Jeffree Star Cosmetics. And once again, Jeffree Star Cosmetics will just be brought in as a bit of a context. But I just thought it would be literally like a 3-hour long video if I wanted to join them both at the same time. So today we're just doing the downfall of Jeffree Star Cosmetics as a brand. And then my next video will be Jeffree Star. So I actually wanted to pop in on a completely different day and just say that today's video is very kindly sponsored by Adam and Eve. So please go and support them over there. They're an amazing brand to work with and they're offering you guys an amazing deal as well. I'm sure all of you guys know who Adam and Eve are. They're an iconic brand and they offer 24/7 customer service, hassle-free returns, discreet packaging. They've been in business for over 50 years now, and 20% of all proceeds go towards fighting HIV around the world. So if you guys want 50% off your new favorite Adam and Eve stuff, use code Angelika at checkout. So thank you to Adam and Eve for sponsoring today's video, and let's just get into it. Also, before we get into the video, all the links that you need will be in description, along with, like I said, the makeup links. There'll also be my short kind of form drama channel, my book channel, and my podcast, and anything else you need to find will also be in there. Subscribe with that bell, like, comment for engagement. Let's just get into Jeffree Star Cosmetics. So Jeffree Star Cosmetics is a cosmetics brand, obviously, founded by Jeffree Star. That all adds up so far. Who claims he invested all of his life savings. Now, where have you heard this before? With Kylie Jenner, and it's pretty much identical. It's kind of crazy researching this because this was like, oh, literally around the same time as Kylie Jenner dropping her line, which means that they were exact, like direct competitors with each other, mainly because his first launch was 3 liquid lipsticks. Kylie Jenner's launch was 3 lip kits, right? And they were liquid lipsticks, and they all used their life savings to, you know. But with Jeffree Star, it's more like he was literally on the verge of like homelessness, because he literally said this was like the last money he had from his music days. Whereas with Kylie Jenner, she obviously was fine. If this didn't work out, she would be completely fine. I think Jeffree Star was way more desperate to make this work for himself because this was like his last lifeline. So it was 3 liquid lipstick colors. So far, like right now, it's estimated that they sell about $100 million annually, but I don't know how outdated this information is, and I just don't know if that's the kind of sales that Jeffree Star is still making. They're both vegan and cruelty-free, and we will come back to that later. It's also co-owned by Jeff Cohen, who's a business partner, and the whole brand has about 119 employees, plus minus, you know. I don't know the ins and outs of the brand, but it's around 120 employees. So in 2016, he had his first eyeshadow palette, which was called Beauty Killer. It made rounds on YouTube. I remember this being like a pretty big deal. And it was named after his only studio album because obviously Jeffree Star was into music during his MySpace days. The music wasn't really my thing when I look back on it. It wasn't what I would listen to in my free time, but to each their own. And in 2016, he launched Lip Ammunition, which were these bullet lipsticks, which actually, we already have issues that no one is talking about. I feel like I did that Jaclyn Hill video about the Jaclyn Hill lipstick scandal, and it just seems like everyone else that had really bad launches got dragged to filth. But Jeffree Star has had, and I'm spoiler alert for this video, so many weird failed launches, so many quality issues, and people still claim that his is like such a top quality brand. This is why we justified the racism and all those things, because his makeup is just such high quality. And it's like, no one says that about Jaclyn Hill because everyone still associates with her like the bad launches. But with Jeffree Star, it just seems to kind of go under the radar. So on first launch, they were gritty, dry, and hard to apply. Love the rhyme. Whoa. You could actually see that from reviews back in the day where people were posting pictures that looked very reminiscent of Jeffree Star Cosmetics. In 2017, he made another palette called Androgyny, which I remember that one really being popular in reviews on YouTube. A Skin Frost highlight, which was one of his like first Skin Frost highlights. And the Star Family collection came out in the same year, which included some of his Pomeranians, as well as Nathan, who he's obviously not with anymore, but it was supposed to be like a whole family collection. Around this time, a few people found human hairs in the highlighters, and a lot of them would come broken, like completely crashed. Anyway, also mold was being found in liquid lipsticks. People were using their liquid lipsticks and then going back to them in their drawer, not after owning them for like a year or two, no, after like literally a few weeks of owning these lipsticks, people would find mold growing inside of the liquid lipsticks, which makes me think that they were old, because why else would there be mold there? So once again, like he came out with bullet lipsticks and they were not great and they looked just like the Jack and Hill ones, maybe plus minus, you know, the metal shards. And then his liquid lipsticks were growing mold. And yet no one talks about this, but when you think of the name Jack and Hill, you think plastic, hair, mold. Like, it's crazy how much Jeffree Star's gotten away with for so long. Mainly for the purposes of this video, for his brand, but even in his personal life. Also at the time, lipsticks were said to smell like cat piss or because there was this video that came out of Nathan smoking in the warehouse while with like the other employees, and he put it like on Snapchat. And people said that the lipsticks really stank, like the packaging that came stank. It seemed like the warehouse was like infested with something that was pissing. So really the conditions were not that great. Now this is all word of mouth. I can't be like, obviously the moldy lipsticks, I can show you guys pictures of that, and the gritty lipsticks, I can show you pictures of that, but I didn't order the lipsticks at the time, so I can't tell you if they actually stank of piss or not. But those are the reviews. Also around the time, he called out Kylie Jenner for her lip gloss brushes. Do you remember this? So, Jeffree Star just really blows my mind. Okay, so people are finding human hairs in the highlighters. They're coming broken. I remember there was a story, and I really searched wide and long for this story. I remember there was a story I saw on YouTube back in the day that people were receiving packages from Jeffree Star Cosmetics with ants in them. Now, if I can't confirm this story, I might just cut it out, or you're just hearing this as like a little allegation. But I vividly remember this happening, and if I find it, I will show it to you guys. I remember there was like a box that someone got in from the warehouse, and it just had ants in it. So like, okay, we've got like these alleged ants that I'm remembering. Cat piss, the smell of weed. We've got broken lipsticks, mold in the lipsticks, gritty lipsticks. And he has the audacity in that same year of 2017 to call out Kylie Jenner because some of her brushes are a little bit wonky and like they're not perfectly aligned, and he like in his Snapchat story like threw the lip gloss in the bin. It was like trash, garbage. At least it doesn't smell like cat piss, you know? And I'm not like defending Kylie necessarily, and I just think out of the two wrongs, there definitely is more of a wrong, and that more of a wrong is Jeffree Star. In 2018, he launched Blood Sugar, which was a palette, and it started the trend of like the one color palettes. They had like the monochromatic ones, and this one was red. In that same year, he released Thirsty, which was a summertime palette. I remember everyone was going crazy for it. In August, a New Jersey Morphe store started selling Jeffree Star Cosmetics. So this was 2018. They started this big boom with Morphe. This is really where it starts like amping up. He's really getting his sales going, because now you don't have to order it online. You can just go into a Morphe store locally and pick it up. In November that same year, he launched the Alien palette, which I remember was also like a crazy collector's item, and a highlighting palette called the Supreme Frost Pro, which was launched in December. So in 2019, he launched Blue Blood, which is the blue version of the Blood Sugar palette, and this really was just, it was just feeding into people's collector's mindset of like, well, I already have the all red one, I need the all blue one now, because why not, you know? And this is really showing me how much consumerism has, for makeup at least, has changed since then. I feel like 2016 to maybe 2019 was really just a time where like, even if you didn't really want an all blue palette, because you already had the all red one, and you had the Alien one, and you had the Thirsty one, and you had the other one, you felt like you really needed the blue one, even though blue wasn't your favorite eyeshadow shade. Blue wasn't even your favorite color as a whole. You didn't really like the packaging, but you had this need to collect makeup, to have a massive collection, to spend all your savings on it. I think it was really just like the hype of the makeup just going. It was a snowball effect of like, well, you already bought this one, so you have to get all these other ones. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense to buy the first one. You should have the whole collection. And people would post their pictures of their like Jeffree Star spreads of like all the palettes they have. And it was a crazy time. So April 2nd, this is one where we really have to start talking. discussing, doing some conspiracy theories. Join me, put on your tinfoil hats. April 2nd, 2019, Jeffree Star announces that one of his warehouses was robbed and $2.5 million worth of products was lost. And this was in a video called "My Concealer Line Was Stolen and Leaked." And in brackets, 2.5 million of makeup hijacked. So I'm gonna summarize the video for you guys. A shade of his unreleased concealer. At this point, the concealer hadn't even been announced. So people didn't even know he was making it. But then people saw leaked photos of someone showing the concealer on Facebook Marketplace. And we're like, oh my God, is this just like someone using the Jeffree Star line to like advertise their own concealer? People were just wondering, you know, what was going on. And Jeffree Star posts this video and says, yes, this is my unreleased concealer. One shade of the concealer, and I believe it was like 1C, it was like a very fair, cool toned shade, was stolen and resold on different websites along with some highlights and other small amounts of things. So I believe the Blue Blood was stolen, the Supreme Frost was stolen, but only in small amounts. It was mainly just they grabbed like the boxes of just one shade of concealer, because I'm assuming when they come to the warehouse, they're all kind of organized by shade. So I'm assuming just grabbing the boxes closest to each other will mean that you just grab one shade of concealer. He thought there was an inside job as that warehouse was not secure properly and no one knew other than people that worked there. So it was a very easy target to go for a warehouse bit that hasn't been secured properly. So he watched footage of it happening, but didn't show it to us, which I don't know if it's because it was an open investigation or whatever, but he just said that he saw it and it was so, you know, like he saw the video. But then in a different bit of the story, he says that he found out because one of his employees came into the warehouse and saw that the cameras were turned towards the wall. So like they turned some of the cameras around, but not all of them. You know, you said the cameras were turned and then you said you saw footage. I don't know. I'm just not putting two and two together. So he then says that he has insurance on his company. Of course, most people do. So he'll get all his money back. So it's not really a loss. He's just kind of like, you know, whatever. So far what I'm gathering is he had unreleased, unannounced concealers. Someone robbed his warehouse. He makes this video, which is going to garner a lot of attention for his new launch of concealers. And he says that he hasn't actually made a loss because he'll just get all the money back. So there really is no loss in this robbery. So it's not something that is like really hurtful because it's like, oh my God, like, no, he's fine. He came out net zero, like nothing really happened other than maybe just like the fear of being robbed. I mean, he wasn't there. So like he didn't like come face to face with the robbers. He was like actually on a plane somewhere going off. So there is no loss here, but there is a gain. The gain is views and attention to this new launch, right? And we all hated to be skeptics. We all hated to be like, no, you're lying, because there is that innate need and want to believe people when they say something bad has happened to them. However, when things start not adding up, you have to really put on your tinfoil hat and just go through with it. So in that same video, he announced that the Magic Star concealer would be sold in May, which is only a month later. And now bear in mind, I'm gonna repeat what he said at the start of the video, which is a whole shade of concealer was stolen. So he didn't have 1C. Now I wanna know, because I wasn't buying Jeffree Star Cosmetics at the time, because in my mind, he was already canceled to me. When you were going on the website, was 1C available? Because if it was, then that means he created that product in what, less than a month and was able to like get it produced, sent out. I don't know how long it takes to produce things, but it just seemed very like convenient to ride the wave of the hype, because if he had said, oh, I'm gonna launch this concealer when it's ready, and that might be in 3 months time, by then people have forgotten about the robbery. But to be like, hey guys, I got robbed. I'm fine, I'm gonna get all the money back, but I did get robbed. Wow, getting all these views, then it's super easy to be like, oh, and you can get these concealers in literally like a month. Right?
I actually forgot while I was filming this video that the police did release records. So some of what I say kind of applies, some doesn't kind of apply, like it was all kind of theories. But the police did release records saying that they are estimating that there was 10,000 in damages for like merchandise and about 30,000 in like damages to the actual warehouse. So it's nowhere near 2.5 million. So either this whole robbery was fake and like he faked it and that's why so little is gone, because like how would he be able to hide 2.5 million? But then it's like I'm accusing him of insurance fraud and I don't want to do that. Or it is actually true that someone did come in and steal stuff, but it wasn't this like organized mission by some geniuses. Like he said, it was literally someone coming in, taking 10,000 worth of products, not 2.5 million. Unless that's how much he's marking up his products, which if that's the case, we're going from 10,000 to 2.5 million, I need to start a makeup line ASAP. So I'm going to put the screenshots up on the screen for you guys.
Then there was an episode of, obviously when Shane Dawson did the Jeffree Star series, there was an episode called The Dangerous World of Jeffree Star where they actually discuss the robbery, and it starts at 22 minutes and 30 seconds. So the robbery came literally a day after the Shane Dawson cat scandal. And it happened in the middle of the Jeffree Star series, which was basically an ad for their eyeshadow palette. So I'm actually gonna link all of this together, right? So Jeffree Star is announcing his first complexion product, which is his concealer. It's a big deal because concealers are something that you keep on repurchasing. So it's an ongoing stream of income, stream of revenue. With an eyeshadow palette, you buy one, and unless it breaks or gets damaged or gets lost, you will not buy that eyeshadow palette again. So eyeshadow palettes, even liquid lipsticks, they're very difficult to go through unless you're literally using one every single day. He has so far, highlighters, very difficult to use up. He has so far had products that are not repeat purchases. This was his first repeat purchase product. He needed a lot of eyes on this product because he needed a lot of people to try the product, fall in love with the product, and then keep on buying the product so he'd have a continuous stream of revenue, right? He picked this product. If we're assuming, which is what I'm hinting at, that the robbery didn't happen, allegedly, I'm saying it could have maybe, allegedly, in my conspiracy theory mind, not happened. If it didn't happen, he picked the concealer because it's the one product that he really wants to bring attention to, because it's his first complexion product and his first like repeat purchase product. He brings attention to it with the robbery. And this is coming a day after Shane Dawson is on the cliff, on the cusp of being cancelled. Like, this is the first time Shane Dawson is actually a little bit, you know, his heart is going a bit, because so far, no matter what Shane Dawson has done, whether it was people uncovering blackface or whatever it happened, people were very like, no, leave Shane Dawson alone. It was a joke. It was a long time ago, because he was a problematic fave. Shane Dawson was a favorite creator that people were really obsessed with, and he was a part of a lot of people's childhood, so they just didn't want to accept the fact that he was problematic. So a lot of people would just push these things aside. But him admitting to having sex with a cat was really where people drew the line. And he was probably fearing a little bit that this was going to be the start of people digging through his stuff. And it was in the middle of a Jeffree Star series, and it was in the middle of his infomercial for selling the conspiracy palette. So it does seem like a day after Shane Dawson's scandal, for something to happen to Jeffree Star to distract from it is very convenient, right? And it's also in the middle of the series for Jeffree Star Cosmetics, where they are essentially announcing that they will be releasing a big eyeshadow palette, small eyeshadow palette, and some merch to do with it. It brings the attention back, right? When you start a series, you're getting a high view count. And then as the series goes on, less and less people are interested, because not everyone's going to stick around. So to do this in the middle, it gives you that boost once again to then keep on going off, right? It's a very convenient time to have something like this happen. So in this episode, The Dangerous World of Jeffree Star, they talk about, so they had some more security footage dilemma due to servers, which once again doesn't make sense as to how he was like, oh yeah, I watched the footage of them stealing. But then he's like, the cameras were turned around, and then there was problem with servers. I'm really not sure what's going on with these security cameras. Now he has armed guards at the warehouse. They stole the Blue Blood palette as well as some Red Bulls, like Red Bull cans. What's interesting is the editing of this episode. It keeps on cutting from picking shades for the palette and hyping up this conspiracy palette to then cutting to talking about the robbery and the Shane Dawson cat scandal. So it's like every time they hook you talking about the robbery, they go straight into, oh, and this palette. It's just a great way to keep attention going to this new eyeshadow palette coming out, right? And I just remembered, and I know it's not really relevant to Jeffree Star Cosmetics, but the editing of this series was so dramatic, like so dramatic. The music, the cuts, I didn't catch on the first watch, but it's very dramatic. And the FBI didn't find any leads on who did it. So it's very convenient, you know? So people started getting suspicious at the time that it was convenient timing for a big concealer launch. And it was around the time of like the Shane Dawson series and the launch to attract attention and distract from the scandal, right? So security footage is not available. The FBI didn't find anyone. So that's already very convenient, but fine, you know, things happen. One whole shade was essentially stolen, but then a month later he launched the whole shade range. So he had the shade back, right? The source of the robbery was him. Like, he was the one that broke the news to us. It wasn't news outlets. He broke the news to us. He had all the information, and he was the one dosing it out, whether that was in his concealer launch video or in the series. He was only giving out information when it was bringing attention to something else. So in his concealer launch video, he was dosing out the information to then be like, hey, buy my concealer in a month. And then in the series, he gave a bit more information, and that was cut in with here's this eyeshadow palette we're working on. So it was a very interesting way of giving us the information, and it wasn't like we could really get the information anywhere else for a really long time. Normally when something like this happens, it's quite uncontrolled how people break the story. And the way this was leaked was through Facebook Marketplace. So these like inside job robbers who went down through like the ceiling of his warehouse, and in like those movies, they picked up these crates of concealers and turned the cameras, and it was like a whole operation. They then took a concealer and sold it to some random girl on Facebook Marketplace to just put on Facebook and leak their whole operation. I don't really know. I didn't really see the concealer being sold anywhere else. Apparently Jeffree Star saw it on other websites, but I only really heard about this Facebook Marketplace situation. So it just seemed really weird that like they stole $2.5 million worth of cosmetics. But to this day, I haven't seen these stolen cosmetics being sold anywhere. And I haven't really heard about anyone be like, oh yeah, people selling on eBay or selling it. Let me know if you saw these stolen $2.5 million worth of cosmetics being sold anywhere other than that Facebook Marketplace thing. And then that same picture was just being reused on other websites, but I don't think those people actually had the concealer. That was my thing, is I don't think these people had it. They were just putting it on like their Facebook Marketplace to draw attention to selling other products. So this actually comes after really big makeup robberies, and people were talking about this. It comes after big makeup robberies such as Anastasia Beverly Hills. The story's pretty identical, like down to a pretty hefty amount of details. And I believe D'Angelo Wallace spoke about this in his Jeffree Star video. Anastasia Beverly Hills had actually had officials talk about it and give statements about what they're doing to find these robbers. Whereas with Jeffree Star Cosmetics, no officials really gave any statements. Which you'd think like $2.5 million worth of product was stolen. You'd think some officials would speak about it, but they didn't. The woman that was on Facebook Marketplace was called Tessa Rollison. And Jeffree Star actually said in one of these clips that she was actually investigated by the FBI and she was arrested. She actually went on the news and did an interview, and she said that she just stole the picture. She didn't have the product. It could also be the case for others. So once again, where is this makeup? Like, I'm assuming everyone was just stealing this picture, but no one was really actually selling the product. And she also wasn't detained, like Jeffree Star said, and she wasn't contacted by the FBI. So you're telling me she's really only the like one direct contact they have to these robbers, allegedly, and the FBI isn't even contacting her. Something sounds really fishy, and you know. So after he sold his concealers in May, we didn't hear about this robbery again. Like, it just stopped being a thing that he was talking about. So in May 2019, he released The Gloss, which was just some lip glosses. In August 2019, he launched a collab palette and brush set with Morphe, which had very mediocre reviews. The brushes didn't wash well at all and were completely frayed after essentially one wash. So once again, like, he had so much to say about, for example, Kylie Jenner's. It seems like because, and I'm bringing up Kylie Jenner a lot, not to defend her in particular, but it seems like Jeffree Star was really, and people noticed this after a while, he was very angry at Kylie Jenner. He was constantly in competition with her. He was very furious at her. Whenever he had the chance, he would give her a negative review or trash her makeup line. And I think it's because they started at the same time, except she had more funds. So this was way more risky for him, and he was maybe angry at her because it was so much easier for her. I don't know what the deal was, but anyway, he had to go at her like very expensive makeup brushes. His just didn't work because they were Morphe, and Morphe doesn't really work. In June 2019, a very iconic launch, Jawbreaker, was released, and this was the biggest launch to date at that point. In November 2019, the Conspiracy Collection was launched through the Jeffree Star website. Later on, it was also through Beauty Bay and Morphe, but due to excessive traffic, there were outages lasting hours. So I remember this was like mayhem on the internet. Everyone's trying to get this launch, and no one could get their like sticky hands on it. Now, once the palette and like all the products launch, right, we're having some issues. And once again, no one really brings this up. I want to talk about it. The palette had long hairs in them that Jeffree Star explained away very quickly as just ribbon fibers from how these products are pressed. This sounds like the same excuse as Jack and Hill's fuzzy gloves situation. There were pieces of rubber and other things found in their palettes as well. A lot of palettes came broken and in bad packaging, mainly from Beauty Bay, I remember. The lip balm came with Jack and Hill Cosmetics-esque like balls and things in them. So it looked pretty much identical, like the lip balm that they came out with. And this was quickly swept under the rug, unlike Jack and Hill Cosmetics lipsticks, which makes me think, like, once again, people are trashing Jack and Hill and trashing, let's say, Kylie Jenner and trashing other people for having subpar launches. But when Jeffree Star does it, it's so quickly just like, no. Around this time, he started launching mystery boxes, which had very mixed reviews because it was just seemed like it was like his unpopular makeup being sold. Like the makeup that doesn't really sell well was just put in these mystery boxes, which I think is kind of always the case. Like, I think that always happens with mystery boxes, which is why I don't really buy them, because I think why would they ever put like a really popular product in the mystery box when they could just sell it for the full price? At the time, the lipsticks included in these boxes had sweating, hairs with discolored sweating, and overall looked gross. Not quite as bad as Jaclyn Hill, but still very gross. And once again, no one talks about this. No one talks about this. I'm starting to see a bit of misogyny in here. Like the woman being held to a much higher standard. Now it makes me think that these were old lipsticks he had in the warehouse that just didn't sell, just like Jeffree Star Cosmetics. In February 2020, he launched a Bloodlust palette, which was purple, and some products to go with it. At this point, he changed the shape of the colorful, like monochromatic palette, and that I feel like kind of ruins the collector's mindset. I don't know, just my idea. So a slight downfall of Jeffree Star and Jeffree Star Cosmetics happens around here. And I'm going to quickly give a summary why, but I'm not going to go into all the details, which I'm going to leave for the Jeffree Star series. So for example, the series with Shane ended around November 2019. And let's go back in time to By Sister, where Tati posted a video to around 50 million views about James Charles and got support from both Shane and Jeffree Star. They then teased the series with their reaction to By Sister. My hair is looking crazy. But then they never showed it in the series, right? Do you guys remember this? Like the teaser for the Beautiful World of Jeffree Star was them reacting to By Sister, and then actually that didn't play a big role in the series at all. They ended up just promoting their eyeshadow palette. So James Charles responded with no more lies, and the tide changed very quickly for some odd reason, where people were just now on James Charles's side until the next allegations came out. So April 2020, Jeffree Star goes on the Mum's Basement podcast, which is Keemstar's podcast, to explain away some of the allegations regarding, for example, Darby Vanity, as well as revenge corn, and goes on to address By Sister. He then drags Tati for being the one to ruin James Charles' career, and he tries to move the attention away from himself and Shane Dawson and onto Tati, because people are, I guess, accusing him of ruining James Charles' career. But at the same time, he made all these tweets about James Charles, accusing him of things that Tati hadn't accused him of. So he was actually making new allegations against James Charles, not just confirming Tati's allegations. So no, it wasn't just Tati that ruined James Charles' career, it was all three of you. And for good reason, because James Charles is not great. But I think he was just doing this as damage control, because at this point James Charles had made the tide turn. So all of this was happening around the time that people were heavily managing and micro looking into Jeffree Star's past, again, to find even more concerning things. So we had already known that he was making a lot of racist remarks, and those he had explained away with these apology videos. But now people are finding, like I said, revenge corn, Darby Vanity, a lot of really weird tweets, like a lot of things were happening, him paying people away. I'm actually going to mention all of that in my Jeffree Star video, so I'm not going to get too far into it, but I just want to make it clear why this downfall was happening for the first time. And then we had Carmageddon. Tati obviously comes back with another video where she's actually now accusing Shane and Jeffree of manipulating her into destroying James Charles' career. And that just kind of puts the nail in the coffin for Shane and Jeffree. So May 2020, now I needed to tell you guys why there was a downfall, because I feel like after this, none of his launches are really hyped up. And this really happens between, like I said, the end of the series, November 2019, to then May 2020. It's only really a few months, but the fall is dramatic. In May 2020, which was the start of the pandemic, the cremated palette was launched. Do you guys remember this on Twitter? I even tweeted about it. And the response was not great. There were tweets just of people being like, okay, well, this palette as a whole is just garbage. It seems like the same shades repeated over and over again. But two, it was the start of COVID. A lot of people were dying. And to release a cremated palette, not a good shout. He actually claimed that this palette was supposed to come out before COVID, but it didn't. And I just think he should have left it for maybe another time. Shane quits the beauty community in June 2020, and that really makes everyone look into Shane, and that's when he got cancelled, which I'm gonna probably get into at some point in time. After Shane gets called out for a bunch of things and Jeffree gets called out for a bunch of things, people are now being like, we need everyone that works with these guys to stop working with them. So everyone goes to Morphe. And in July 2020, Morphe actually ceased commercial activities with Jeffree Star due to his allegations. Now, I will not talk in detail here about everything to do with Jeffree Star, but it includes allegations of racism, revenge porn, manipulation, SA, blackmail, paying off victims, supporting people known for SA, etc. So in August 2020, he then launches the palette, which Jeffree Star's products have always been very crude and like had sexual undertones, which I'm not a prude, like I don't care, but I think after all the allegations against him, to come up with such a sexualized palette and so many more sexualized products just leaves a bad taste in my mouth. So he releases the Orgy palette. And once again, the reception wasn't great due to how crude and weird this launch was, considering his pretty young audience and the overall marketing and packaging. It just wasn't great. Not what you'd want. Like, you don't want to walk into like well, not Morphe because he doesn't work with Morphe anymore, but you wouldn't want to like walk into a shop and be like, hey, can I have the orgy palette? And it just has him and like naked people on the, you know, it just wasn't great. After this, we had even more problems. The mini orgy, so he came out with the big orgy palette. Can I just call it the mini O and the big O? So now it just sounds like I'm talking about like an orgasm. Oh, he released the big palette, which was the main palette. And then along with it, he released some more products, like some lip glosses and things like that, as well as a mini palette, which was only a £9 palette. Now, the mini palette had really bad reviews. Once again, no one talks about this. Everyone still buys from Jeffree Star because they claim that his products are such top quality and immaculate, and he puts so much effort into it. And like, he's had nothing but bad launch after bad launch. Now, like I said, I'm gonna repeat. We had the bad lipsticks, we had the moldy lipsticks, we had the sweaty lipsticks, we had the conspiracy collection, had like hair in it and rubber bits in it. And now we have another bad launch, and yet everyone had a go at Jaclyn Hill for having one really bad launch, and then the other ones were just like subpar quality, but they weren't like dangerous. They were just, you know, the eyeshadows didn't blend or whatever. But no one talks about this. No one uses this against Jeffree Star. And I do understand that there are other things that can be used against Jeffree Star, like all of his other allegations, but no one uses this against the brand. Everyone still acts like this brand is so amazing that they have to justify buying from it despite all of the allegations against Jeffree Star, when the brand really isn't that great. The quality is not that great. And the quality control really isn't that great either. So let's just get into it. The mini palette had really bad reviews. Customer service actually replied in email saying that there were some issues with this palette. Now, there was no pigmentation in the shimmers. They came broken and had like unmilled pigment balls. Like, you know, when the powder hasn't been crushed properly and then it was just pressed with like these weird chunks in it. So it's very crumbly. So when you'd like go into it, the bits would just crumble off. Jeffree Star actually responded and said that they would replace all of them and that you don't have to email them. They'll just like keep on emailing people in batches to tell them when their palette is being sent out, like the replacement palette. And I want to know if you were part of this group of people, did you ever get your replacement palette? Because I feel like no one ever really spoke about it afterwards. So in October 2020, actually, and this once again links to Jeffree Star, but kind of Jeffree Star Cosmetics. I'm not going to go into too many details right now, but in October 2020, Insider wrote their like very much hyped up, but like it feels weird to say hyped up, but like a very big article about Jeffree Star's allegations, and it was mind blowing. And people were just so far now being like, no, like we're not buying from you. So he, in November, releases the Blood Money palette. It was green. I don't really remember many people talking about it. In January 2021, he introduced a new gloss formula. Once again, I don't remember people talking about it. In February, he announced that he would release a Blood Sugar Anniversary collection to honor the original launch, which was just like a mini palette with some other products. In March 2021, he released the proof mascara with a whip on it. Like the packaging itself, what I also find with Jeffree Star is, I remember the packaging was really something special in 2016, 2017, 18. But now in the state of the world where like our planet is dying, I think his packaging is so wasteful, so unsustainable. A mascara is supposed to be thrown away every 3 months. You're not supposed to use a mascara for longer than that. So every 3 months, I would have to buy a mascara with a whole whip on it that I then have to throw away, and it would just end up in a landfill. Like even his concealer launch with that big star on it, and some other launches I'm going to get into in a minute. It just, and also once again, like just a crude package. Even like the Too Faced Better Than Sex, it's a bit on the nose and it's a bit like, but it's not as weird as Proof, you know? In July 2021, he releases the Pink Religion collection, it's just all pink. In August 2021, he actually moves from LA to Wyoming onto a ranch where he owns yaks. Now, this is where we come back to the cruelty-free and vegan tagline of his makeup line. Jeffree Star isn't vegan. So his whole lifestyle is not vegan. I just want to make that very clear. But his products are vegan and cruelty-free. So he claimed that these yaks were just pets that he did nothing to but love and pet and like just brush their hair.
I went on Twitter and there's a lot of people making up some shit, which I've dealt with a lot, but let me straighten out the lies and misconceptions, Miss Girl. I recently trademarked Star Yak Ranch in every single category that you could do for raising animals, just because you want to always protect yourself in business. So let's say I trademark it for yarn, cheese, breeding, butchering, etc. It doesn't mean I'm doing any of those things. It just means I don't want anyone to be able to take my trademark in those categories, which people have done before. So I'm just protecting myself. So I guess a few stragglers are trying to spin up a fake story that I'm doing this and I'm doing that. Y'all, relax. When I'm laying on a yak and I name them, nothing is happening to them except brushing them, loving them, and feeding them. Anything else that y'all make it up in your head, it's not real. So you silly making up rumors, please take this soundbite and correct yourself. But yaks are such majestic creatures. There's been so many questions about what am I doing with them? What are they for? Are they for pets? Am I killing them? You guys, you will see in the video, and they're majestic creatures. They've really helped ground me.
In June 2022 though, it comes out that Jeffree Star is selling his yak meat and that the yak pets are different from the yak for meat, allegedly is what he says. He has yaks that he uses as pets and then yaks that he uses for meat.
Shout out to everyone that came down to our yak meat pop-up. It was amazing. There was people from all over. I was shook. Thank you for showing me love. I love this community. It's so cool. And I can't wait to start providing more food for people. Amazing grass-fed food.
Side note, please agree and record this if you have memory loss.
People are allowed to change their mind. People are allowed to evolve their idea. It's so weird because I've been keeping to myself for a few years. You know, I never go on. Remember the old days with Snapchat rants? Oh my God, girl. When the beauty industry was at its height and we'd hop on here every day and But I do want to say one thing that's funny. People are so weird because it's me. It's going to be something always different, right? I'm not a hypocrite. I'm not a liar. But you don't know me. I'm me, bitch. And I bought a ranch. Months later, the idea evolved. I educated myself on where the food I was putting into my body came from. And I don't give a myself. Hi, I ate McDonald's every day. I was promoting Taco Bell like it was Chanel. Disgusting. I'm so disappointed in myself. I mean, hello, I got sponsored by Taco Bell. I did so many videos with fast food and I'm like, that's just not me anymore. I'm a different person. So no, I'm not a liar. I started raising yaks over a year ago and I still have 120 pets. And the only yaks that you guys have ever seen on social media are my pets. Any tag with a name is my pet. People are so, I think if you just don't like me in general, you're just hopping on this thing today. Maybe it's Memorial Day weekend, you're bored, but I'm like, girl, stop making up in your heads. People are literally making up their own narratives. You're slaughtering Swiss Chocolate and Buster. No, they're actually right outside the window grazing on the grass. And I can't wait for their to impregnate a lot of girls and have some amazing babies. Maybe because I've never like shown the world that I've ever sold a yak before or what I do all day. It may be a little bit of a shocker to some people, but baby, relax, take a Xanax, take a hit, go get some fresh air.
Now, people had an issue with him lying about it, mainly because Jeffree Star Cosmetics is vegan and cruelty-free. Now, my issue wasn't with the fact that his makeup line is vegan and cruelty-free, because he's not vegan. It's not like his whole life is vegan and he suddenly out of nowhere started selling yak meat. That's not really what happened. And I think his makeup line being vegan and cruelty-free has nothing to do with him having a meat business. What I have an issue with is that he, in literally 2021, was like, oh my God, these yaks are majestic creatures and I'm doing nothing to them but petting and loving them. And then 2022, he's like, oh, I'm selling yak meat. And he claims that he didn't lie, but he did lie. And I don't care that he's selling meat, but he lied. And it's something that he's been doing all career. Like his whole career, he's just been lying, allegedly. And I'm just getting a bit tired of it. I'm just a bit sick and tired. So was the selling of the yak meat his intention from the start? And if yes, that means he was lying. And if not, it means he lied. Regardless, you know? In September 2021, he gets the Star Ranch mini palette, and in September 2021 he also released the Pricked collection. It's all centered around like farm life and horses and yaks and animals, and like it looks very like ranchy, you know? So in February 2022 he announced a skincare line, which was a makeup removing balm, cleanser, toner, eye cream, face cream, lip mask, and a face mist. The packaging, once again, just seems so wasteful, so thick, so bulky. There's so many extra bits in there. It's so wasteful. And that's just like the Jeffree Star Cosmetics thing. The ingredients seem fine other than some like clean washing and demonizing perfectly fine ingredients and some over-exaggerated claims about like immunity and stuff. In May 2022, he releases the Banana Fetish collection, which the palette is like barely yellow. But it's named after bananas and the whole theming's around bananas, but it's like barely yellow. And the yellow shades that are in there are pretty mediocre shades and they all look the same. And now July 2022, he releases the Lavender Lemonade collection, which is actually a skincare collection, which, to be fair, this YouTuber, I can't remember her name right now, this YouTuber, she analyzed the ingredients for the initial launch of Jeffree Star Cosmetics, like the skincare line, and she was like, I hope that he doesn't apply his marketing for his main cosmetics line to this line and doesn't keep on launching weird, gimmicky skincare lines, because she's kind of sick and tired of people making skincare like a collectible when it is just something used to improve your skin. That's it. And he did it, so she kind of guessed correctly. We have the Lavender Lemonade collection. It's supposed to be calming, de-stressing. He launches his first of many candles, allegedly. Face mask, lip mask with a new scent, bath salts, sleep mist, which is a face mist. Now the skincare reviews have been decent, but then again, there aren't many. So I'm assuming like the hype for buying Jeffree Star Cosmetics and reviewing it has died down. I don't think people want it as much. And at this point, I'm assuming it's only his die-hard fans that are really buying Jeffree Star Cosmetics, and they don't need someone to review it for them because they're going to buy it anyway, and everyone else is just not buying it, so the reviews don't really make sense unless you have a core audience that will watch anything you put out. So for example, this YouTuber, the skincare YouTuber, she has this like a core audience that just watches all of her videos, so she might do a video about Jeffree Star Cosmetics. Doesn't mean that she's been asked to necessarily, but just because that's what she does, she reviews skincare. This is a new skincare line, she reviewed it, her audience watched it, and that's it. Lawsuits. There were some lawsuits. In April 2017, Jeffree Star Cosmetics and Manny MUA got sued by Black Moon Cosmetics for copyright because of a collab they did. In July 2017, Lunatic Cosmetics filed a trademark lawsuit for packaging of the lip ammunition lipsticks, but then they dismissed the case. And in October 2020, Jeffree Star Cosmetics and 10 others were sued by the estate of Anna Nicole Smith for copyright, and it was because of a shade of lipstick that he released. So there were a few lawsuits. We don't really know how these end because they normally end in a settlement, so we never really find out. In conclusion, Jeffree Star Cosmetics was too directly linked to Jeffree Star, the personality, and when the Jeffree Star personality stopped being appealing to people anymore because it was becoming criminal, Jeffree Star Cosmetics also started to become unappealing and criminal. I think that's the issue, just like with Kylie Jenner and just like Jaclyn Hill, being so directly linked to your makeup line that whatever you do that is problematic then makes the brand look problematic, which is why it was so difficult for me to split up Jeffree Star Cosmetics and Jeffree Star, because whenever I started talking about Jeffree Star Cosmetics and the downfall, I ultimately had to talk about Jeffree Star. I couldn't not mention it. Even though I said, I'm going to try to keep it to a minimum, it's difficult because Jeffree Star is Jeffree Star Cosmetics and Jeffree Star Cosmetics is Jeffree Star. And I think that's where the problem begins. I think when you're just a little bit, iffy like Jaclyn Hill, it's easier to keep people hooked because she hasn't done anything truly criminal. But when it comes to people like Jeffree Star, there really aren't a lot of people that are going to be okay with the things that he has done and then be willing to give him money. And I think that's why he has moved to Wyoming. It is why he started selling yak meat and diversifying his income to other businesses, because selling makeup directly through you as a person just isn't really working for him anymore. Whereas when he's selling his yak meat in his local farmer's market, people don't really know who he is and people don't really care about who he is. They just want to buy some yak meat locally sourced, But when it comes to makeup online, everyone has seen what Jeffree Star has done, and therefore giving him money feels like putting money in the wrong areas. Also, I think in the age of 2022 now, the makeup feels really outdated. I know that people still use makeup like this and wear makeup like this, but it's just not what's popular with the trends right now. The trends are very, dewy, natural, cutesy, soft glam. It's an all blue palette and, doing a whole cut crease and yada, yada, yada. It's just not part of the trend. And I'm not saying, because I feel like people always take this the wrong way where they're like, I still do my makeup like this. And I'm like, I didn't say you don't. I just said it's not part of the trend cycle. Also, people are very much more like eco-conscious of packaging, wasteful packaging. And his packaging is still so wasteful. Still so wasteful. People are also kind of over the like crude marketing. I think shock marketing just doesn't do it anymore. Mainly when you've had so many SA allegations against you. Making sexual crude marketing probably just isn't the best move, in my opinion. Like that just isn't working for me. So the whole like proof mascara and the orgy palette, it's really not doing it for me. I would die before I'd walk into a shop and be like, hey, can I get the orgy palette? No. So I think this is what happens when you tie your character to your brand. It's good at first because you have a cult following who will buy everything you put out. But the moment the tide turns against you, the tide turns against the brand as well. And I feel like that really is what happened to Jeffree Star Cosmetics. Wow, I've talked my head off for too long. The next video will be a Jeffree Star video. That's going to take me a minute to work on it. And then after that, please give me any recommendations. I always take recommendations from the comment section. Literally the comment on the last video that had the most likes was do a Jeffree Star Cosmetics video, and here it is. So I do really listen. I remember the Jaclyn Hill video as well was a recommendation, well, a request. So put more requests in the comments. I always love to hear it. Subscribe with the bell icon for engagement, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye guys.